up everyone! So continuing the Venice Film Festival coverage, today's movie I'm discussing on the channel is the latest film from Aussie filmmaker Justin Kurzel. He's the chap that gave us Nitram and Macbeth. His latest film is a gripping genre cocktail of police procedural, neo-western and action movie, and it's called The Order. Again, this wasn't another film in the Venice Film Festival lineup that I originally intended to review while I was here, but after I came out of the screening I realized, okay, the film does have a little bit of Oscars potential, so I should probably make a video on it just in case. And to my surprise, it was a movie that I ended up really enjoying, and I always love to discuss films that do surprise me. The film is based on real events and is set in 1980s America in the rolling Cascade Mountains of Idaho. Our central protagonist is an FBI agent called Terry Husk, who's played by Jude Law. He's your typical grizzled lawman. He's seen a lot of shit. He's taken down mob bosses and members of the KKK, but it's cost him his marriage and he rarely sees his daughters now. So he's moved to Idaho and taken this job so he can take a step back from it all, but it isn't long before Husk is dragged into another crime ring circuit. The area that he's based in now is known for having Aryan communities who are all about white power, but a rogue member of one of these Aryan groups, Bob Matthews, who's played in this film by Nicholas Hoult, is sick of this Aryan community being all talk and no action, so he decides to take matters into his own hands. He splinters off from them and forms his own new neo-Nazi militia known as The Order. They are highly organized, they rob banks in order to fund their schemes, and they're following these 6 steps teachings of what's actually a children's book called The Turner Diaries, which they've twisted into their own propaganda. It's like their Bible. These 6 steps involve recruiting new members, raising money, and it all ends with the day of the rope. Apparently this book, The Turner Diaries, was heavily sourced and referenced as inspiration for those that were involved in the January 6, 2020 attacks on the Capitol in Washington. So yeah, kids, give a hoot, read a book, raid the Capitol. Like I said, I had a really good time watching The Order. Structurally, the narrative is quite familiar. It did hit a lot of beats of a typical cops and robbers type movie that I expected it to hit, but I didn't mind that it was a little familiar because it was so well executed. Zach Balin's script is a little more plot driven than it is character driven, but there is still excellent work here from Jude Law, Tye Sheridan, Alison Olivers, but the standout for me had to be Nicholas Hoult for his chilling performance as Bob Matthews, who was a real person. The cinematography in this by Adam Arkapour is some of the best that I've seen all year. There's a lot of sweeping drone shots of the natural landscapes, which are just gorgeous. There's also some beautiful lighting and camera work in the scenes in the bar and in the cars. There was also one POV shot on someone's car, which really caught me off guard. And while this is an action movie, I did find myself getting emotionally invested in the characters. Admittedly, I got a little weepy during one character death in this. Like, I honestly was not expecting the first film of Venice that would make me cry would be like a neo-western action movie, but here we are. The action scenes in this are quite gritty and in your face. The bank robbery scenes are very intense, and there's a really cool final shootout in like a burning house, and I'm very impressed by how they did the house being on fire because it looks so real. Normally you can spot like crappy CGI like when something is on fire. This was actually very convincing. So yeah, I thought the action scenes in particular were very well shot by Justin Kurzel. And the script by Zach Balin I thought was very well balanced in terms of genres and tone. There is a lot of pointed dialogue in this, which is not subtle at all, but it really does cut through with its message. Like there's an Aryan leader who's talking to Bob who says, in 10 years time we'll have members in the Congress and in the Senate, and that's how you make real change. And it's really sobering to hear that because it feels all too real. And while the ending does deliver a satisfying action-packed showdown, the end credit title cards that pop up right at the end are quite troubling. It really does hammer home the message that neo-Nazis and white supremacists are very much a part of the fabric of American society even to this day. And often their members are found in positions of power or they're in plain sight. Again, this film isn't reinventing the wheel with its story. It unfolds pretty much how you expect it to. Kurzel wears his influences on his sleeves. He knew exactly the type of movie that he wanted to make, and he's done it with aplomb. He's made a very gripping movie that does feel all too close to home. Shall we talk about its Oscars chances? Right now I'm feeling that the film's best chance for Oscars recognition is actually for Nicholas Hoult for Best Supporting Actor. This is the type of role that I think Nicholas Holt's career desperately needed because he is well known, but he's never really had a scene-stealing part before, and in this, he really does stand out. Nicholas Hoult utilizes those beautiful blue eyes of his to seduce in new members to his neo-Nazi regime. It's a very charismatic performance, one that's both warm and cold simultaneously. I really enjoyed what Nicholas Hoult was doing here. Right now, I don't think he's like a lock for Best Supporting Actor, but I do believe he will be in the discussion over the coming months. But it would be nice to see him finally get his first ever Oscar nomination. He'll definitely get some discussion in my upcoming Best Supporting Actor and Actress video. How about Jude Law? Could he get a nomination for Best Actor? I feel less confident on Jude Law getting an Oscar nomination. While I do think he is good in this, I don't know if it's enough. I really did enjoy some of his character choices in this. Like there's this one scene where he's interrogating one of the neo-Nazis in a prison cell, and he's like getting all up in his space and smushing him up against the bars. Like it's really intrusive and intense, and you can kind of tell that he's at the end of his rope. So while I really did appreciate the choices that Jude Law was making with this performance, I'm still not sure he's going to get into Best Actor because it's already looking like a pretty crowded category this year. Again, there's a little bit of genre bias that comes into play here because this is an action movie and I'm not sure the Academy are going to go for it. Zach Baylin, I do think, could get a nomination for screenplay. He got one for King Richard. Maybe he could get a second for this. And I can see the film being in discussion for cinematography, editing, and sound, but I don't know if it's actually going to get the nomination in any of those categories yet, unless the film really does catch fire. I think because it is a film that is quite heavy on the action, it does run the risk of not being taken as seriously as other films by the Academy, and it could just fall the wayside with nominations. It might be one of those films that just gets completely goose-egged. But who knows, maybe the prescient and political topics might resonate with the Academy, and it might be like a hella high water. And with the American election looming closer, this film is going to feel more relevant by the day. But who knows, maybe it could be more of a contender than Ali Abbasi's The Apprentice. I don't think Justin Kurzel will get in for Best Director, but hopefully he'll be in the conversation. And as for Best Picture, I don't see it as a top 10 right now, but yeah, I probably have it in like my top 20, like it's on the outside looking in, I'd say. But still a really good movie, and I hope it does get some awards recognition over next year's award season. All right then, should we ask those 3 questions? Firstly, would I watch this again? Yeah, absolutely. This was an enthralling watch. There was great action, there was emotion, because I was invested in the characters, I got upset when one of them died. It may be set in the 80s, but it feels very timely. The performances are all great, it's well paced, the runtime was just perfect. So yeah, I could happily watch this again. In fact, I do think it's a film that I will go out of my way to buy a copy of and add to my collection. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? Yes, I do. If you're a fan of films like Hella High Water, I think you'll really enjoy this. You know, a fun neo-Western cops and robbers type movie. Yeah, it's kind of like that. But yeah, if you're a fan of Justin Kurzel's work as well, he is working on top form here. So yeah, if you're a fan of his previous works, you'll probably enjoy this. Yeah, I think most people will have a good time watching this film. So yeah, do check it out. And third question, what score to give it out of 10? The order really did surprise me. It might be a little conventional in the story department and its structure, but it did work for me. I really enjoyed watching this movie. So I'm going to give The Order a score of 8 out of 10. But as always, guys, it is just one bloke's opinion. I would like to hear from you. Are you excited for The Order? Have you seen it? If you have, what do you make of this movie? Do you think it's got some Oscars chances? What do you have to say? Let me know in that comment section down below. If you want more movie, TV, and Oscars related content, don't forget to click subscribe. And if you want to stay up to date with all my Venice Film Festival coverage, be sure to follow me on the socials. You can find links to all these in that video description down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Harefield, and I'll see you next time.